Welcome back everyone, it's time to go balls deep. Today we are discussing Attack on Titan Manga Chapter 137. And if it wasn't obvious, if you are an anime only watcher, this video will contain spoilers.
Spoiler warning! Spoiler warning! Spoiler warning!
So, as we all know, Isayama has said the manga is coming to an end in April, meaning there are only 2 chapters left for the conclusion.
There's no reason for me to live. No reason at all.
Attack on Titan Chapter 137 explores many questions the community wanted answered. For example, why did Ymir follow King Fritz if she had all the power in the world to stop him? Or what was happening to Zeke Yeager all this time during the rumbling? We will give our opinion throughout this video, and I hope you guys can give yours too in the comment section below, because our anime balls deep community is one of the best and we really appreciate all the interaction we get. So with that, don't forget to smash that like button to show your support. But essentially, this chapter explores a very philosophical debate between Armin and Zeke regarding the purpose of life and what it means to be human. So stick around till the end of the video to learn everything Isayama has revealed this month. Okay, so we continued from the last chapter where Armin's interaction with Zeke in the realms of the paths. Zeke, being in this realm for a ridiculous amount of time, was apparently able to study and learn the origins of life. We are going to assume that he did this by viewing the memories through the power of the Titan in the realm of the paths. This way he could kill his boredom. Like back in chapter 121, he was only in the realms of the path for 1 second, yet he said it felt like thousands of years. In chapter 137, it has been hours, so this must have felt like eternity. So then my man starts explaining to Armin on how life got created. Let me do my narrator's voice.
12 seconds later.
Long ago, when nothing but mere matter existed in the world, life came to be after going through a process of survival of the fittest. It was an extensive process where many did not survive, but the ones who did carried on their legacy. Zeke goes on to allude that life ultimately survived due to its nature to multiply. Due to this very goal, life itself took new forms, adapting to every kind of environment, and eventually life led to humans. Zeke goes on to comparing life to other non-living matter, where life never stops in its frantic quest to multiply. Basically, in normal people's terms, he's saying humans love to procreate and, have multiple kids.
Yeah, boy.
Death and extermination of species is actually the counter of this very goal to multiply, and this is why we have the feeling of fear. And even as a child, we try to avoid pain. This understanding of life and biology is akin to Darwinism and even modern day understanding of evolution. Zeke, living in this realm, might have had time to reflect on creation itself. However, it's not clear if he actually has the answer. This could be his conclusion based on his own observation rather than reality. But in my opinion, it's very likely that this indeed is a true reality based on the memories that Zeke witnessed in the realms of the paths. You might be asking, whose memories? Well, the memories of the spinal-like creature. As in the first page, we see a similar-like creature living in the sea. This creature might have been the original version of this entity which has the power of the Titans. Regardless if the reality of life is just consciousness with the only purpose to survive, then emotions, personal thoughts and desires in the grand scheme of things becomes redundant, as those very things are subjective in nature and the meaning they hold is based on fickle feelings. Either way, when it came to Ymir, she encountered the spinal-like creature under the tree. She became something stronger and larger than ordinary life, ultimately giving birth to an undying body. With this greater form of life, she was also then able to escape to a world that was free from the concept of death itself. Armin then questions what exactly is Ymir's goal in all of this, where Zeke responds telling him that in all his times in the realms of the path and him trying to understand Ymir, he came to learn that in spite of all of her strength, she could never really defy King Fritz. And as a reminder guys, King Fritz was the king of Aldia around 2000 years ago. When his slave we know as Ymir gained the power of the Titans, he used her to expand Aldia into an empire and destroy his enemies. As a reward, he made her his concubine and had 3 daughters with her. He and Ymir are the ancestors of every subject of Ymir, and this is what the world is having a war about this whole time. Upon his death, he commanded his daughters to continue reproducing and eating each other so that Ymir's people would never die out and the nation of Aldia could rule the world with his Titan forever. Ymir is still a slave and wants something. Most people believe it's exactly what Eren wants too: freedom and a real life. If you want a full story and understanding of what this all means, we have explained it in full detail in a video being displayed to you right now, so please check it out in the pinned comment section below. Now, just like us, Zeke also questioned why that was, as to why for 2000 years Ymir remained in this realm, continuing to obey him and his offsprings, which in fact was actually much longer, as time flows differently in this realms of the paths. So for Ymir, she was slaving away for eternity. Zeke then concluded the reason for her actions was because Ymir, even after death, still felt attached to the world that she left behind, to her family connections and her descendants. Zeke mentioned how Eren saw through that and realized what Ymir wanted. However, at this point of time, that conclusion doesn't make much sense until we get Eren and Ymir's perspective on why they made their choices due to having the power of seeing the future memories. I mean, just because she wanted to keep a connection, she blindly obeyed her offsprings in their greed and madness, causing mass pain and genocide that would not achieve anything. We even see Ymir later on in this chapter listening to their conversation on what it really means to live. This is a heavy indication that she's either manipulating the situation or she wants to be free of the paths and end her slavery. But we do have a theory for you guys that we will discuss at the end of the video, so please stick around. And seriously, everyone needs to wait until we see Eren's reasoning for the rumbling in the next chapter 138. And who knows, this could all be happening because Ymir is going to be reborn as Eren's and his story's child and gain the freedom they all desire.
What? Shut your
Anyways, coming back to the chapter, Armin then asks Zeke on how to leave this goddamn place. Like, damn, they're stuck in a timeless hourglass or something. He needs to stop Eren's rumbling. But Zeke then just goes back to his mumble jumble with his nihilistic lens, explaining how this is all insignificant and if really there is any point in fighting just for the sake of continuing their species. In his outlook, what's happening right now is simply a reactory response to the fear humans have of extinction and nothing more. Armin argues back, explaining that right now, this very moment, his friends are fighting that very fear he's speaking of. However, in his state of nihilism, Zeke questions what would be so wrong in just giving up and losing this fight. At the end of the day, we all die anyways. To live means to die, does it not? And who knows, perhaps one's final moment will bring relief in all of this madness. Zeke goes on with his own philosophical reasoning on how the freedom Armin and his friends are fighting for is just a delusion for the sake of continuing on their species, and even that might not mean anything. This deep dive on humanity and their existence bring Armin into contemplation. Suddenly the plot convenience arrives and within all of the sand in this realm, out of nowhere, a leaf appears in front of Armin, triggering an onset of memories in which Armin starts narrating to Zeke. Armin describes a moment where he was running to a tree on a hill with Eren and Mikasa. He remembered the feeling of the breeze, warmth of the day, how the leaves were fluttering everywhere. At that point, Armin thought to himself that this might be the reason he was born, just so he could run with his friends. Armin then recalls the time he used to read books during the rainy night, feeding squirrels nuts and idly walking around the markets with his friends. These random non-exciting moments in life now feel the most precious moments you take for granted. It's like the saying, I wish I knew I was in the good days before I actually left them. Armin's philosophy is a complete counter to Zeke's, along with answering the question of life, on if it's really meaningless. This goes back to Eren when he led the scouts to their death against Zeke. His final statement to encourage his troops was, no matter how blessed the life you have lived, it's all the same if you're shredded by rocks. Does this mean the life is meaningless? Was there ever any meaning in our being born? Would you say the same of our fallen comrades? Were their lives meaningless? No, they were not. Even though this might have been a way for Eren to manipulate his soldiers, in the end of the day it does hold some truth, because let's be real, these soldiers didn't give up their lives because they sought the desire of multiplying their gene pool. Rather, each of them died with the thought of simple moments that made them happy and truly alive. This somewhat answers the question that Attack on Titan is asking the readers. What makes people keep moving forward for this called purpose or freedom when they have to go through pain and suffering to achieve it? Why would Eren do the rumbling if he didn't have a masterful goal or good intentions? This is another foreshadowing that in chapter 138, Eren will give his perspective of what he's trying to achieve. But here's an example that even me and Ardell at Anime Balls Deep have been doing YouTube for 7 years. When we look back at our older videos, grinding out the tears and sweat into making a successful channel, that suffering and grind actually allowed us to be where we are today. And have you guys enjoy our content? Everything in life comes in full circles, and the experience of each moment makes reality worth living. And even those simplest moments, such as feeling the thick fresh air in England after coming from Asia for such a long time. सारे लोगों को पता है सांस लेने में मुश्किल है. And listen guys, I have asthma and it's quite hard to breathe in those countries, alright?
Don't angry me.
But what I'm trying to say, the simplest things, even a laugh with a friend or going on a holiday for a weekend in Dubai, thinking, oh my god, this was amazing time. But then you come back to your mundane routine thinking, was I in a genjutsu? It's the almost ultimate message is that we do not live simply to reproduce, that we're not just slaves to our genetic programming or whatever society expects of you. Instead, you as an individual set your own purpose and desires of what you want to achieve in this bittersweet life. So you should cherish every moment you have and live life to the fullest, because you don't know what you have until you lose it. Pain is what makes us human and is a feeling that we can all share together as a one species. But coming back to the chapter, now that both Zeke and Armin are in the path dimension, which is essentially purgatory, they begin to yearn for the past. This is symbolized by what they each see being held in Armin's hands, something from their past that they held dear. To Zeke, it's a baseball he used to play catch with, and for Armin, it's a leaf similar to the one he found with Eren and Mikasa as a child. Zeke starts to recall the moments he would play catch with Dr. Xavier, simple times with no real purpose like multiplying in order to survive. He then agrees with Armin, stating that he would much rather keep on playing catch. Armin and Zeke then look behind them and notice the presence of a bunch of past Titan shifters such as Dr. Xavier, Grisha, Porco, Ymir, and even Bertolt. Back in the real world, the Founding Titan and the World Titans are still advancing their rumbling. The past Titan shifters are hounding Pirk, but Jean manages to swing in and save her. Everyone has hit their limits with the overwhelming power of Eren's Founding Titan. Reiner is being outnumbered, Jean can't help anyone. At the same time, Annie's looking defeated as she's tackled by an armor-looking Titan, but just as it seems like it's game over for everyone, until, drumroll please, a giant hand swings above Annie, knocking the Titans off her. Yes guys, it's none other than Bertolt's colossal Titan that saved her, and on the other hand of the battle, similar things are happening as Marcel and Porco's Titan start saving Jean and Pirk, and the other one that saved Reiner was in fact Ymir's Titan. Mikasa and Connie looked back shocked and confused as to why would Bertolt Titan suddenly help them out, but Mikasa wasted no time trying to figure this out, as you know, she goes straight after the Okapi Titan to save Armin whilst the other Titans are preoccupied. We then see Gabby shoot the Okapi Titan right in the eye from Falco's Flying Titan, but this then causes the Okapi Titan to slip. As it falls, Mikasa doesn't miss this opportunity and jumps in, slicing the side of the Okapi Titan's jaw, causing Armin to come out flying. The Okapi Titan shoots out his tongue like a frog to stab through Armin's leg, as it somehow knows that he is the one that will save humanity. Now at this point, you must be thinking that why the heck is this pig-like creature not targeting anyone else, which we will discuss at the end of the video, so please stick around. But comes this, Connie comes in for the save, cutting the tongue and freeing Armin, whilst Annie catches her future husband. There is no way she's letting her boy die. We then suddenly see all of the Titans from Zeke Yeager, Eren Kruger, and even the goat turns on the others. Everyone is shocked, wondering what's going on, but then we receive our answers as Zeke comes out of one of the spine bones, waving and yelling at Levi. We see Armin explain that the Titans are helping them out thanks to him. Zeke spent so much time in the world of the paths, he was able to work out that it's a world where life and death doesn't exist, meaning that the previous Titan holders weren't dead, or you know, they weren't really alive, because every Eldian is connected by the paths they were able to be awakened and then talked to. This is because everyone is a descendant of Ymir and Fritz, therefore are in her bloodline and connected to her in this dimensional path. We then see Zeke talk to Tom Xavier, saying that whilst he doesn't think the euthanization plan was wrong, he ultimately admits that if he gets to play catch with him again, he wouldn't have mind being born. This is Zeke basically saying that whilst the euthanization plan would have worked as a solution, he confesses that Armin's talk no jutsu was so powerful, and he makes a great point regarding how it's the small moments in life that matters and it's not just about the simple need to multiply. But getting back to the chapter, we see Zeke talk to his father before we see Armin showing remorse to Bertolt, saying that he took his life and even his private and precious memories, which is exactly why they can't stay in this world of the paths. They need to end this vicious cycle of war and hatred by everyone to lend them their strength. As the flashback ends, we jump back to Zeke sticking out of the spine. Zeke comments on how beautiful the day is and how he wishes he realized that sooner, but that's asking for too much with the amount of people he has killed. This goes back to Armin's philosophy about life. Since Zeke is making a comment about something small but significant at the same time, it actually acknowledges his ideals rather than his own. Zeke realized that he never had time or the mindset to think about what was truly precious to him or even enjoy life to his utmost after he took everything upon his shoulder. He realized that the best time of his life was simply throwing a baseball with someone he loved. So with this rebirth, Earth, he enjoys the view and the sun for a few seconds, bringing back his humanity and childlike essence before he dies. Yes, we see Zeke's head fly in the sky, detached from his body, with Levi being the one to finally kill him and fulfill his promise. With that, we then see the rumbling had stopped. So you're probably wondering, why did Zeke practically kill himself all of a sudden? And on top of that, why would killing Zeke stop the rumbling? We were all under the assumption that royal blood stopped mattering once Ymir decided to take things into her own hands. Anyway, Zeke finally gets to redeem himself and gain freedom from the paths. He stopped a mass genocide from happening even further by stopping the rumbling, and on top of that, he self-reflected, which is the most important bit. But moving back to chapter 137, Jean rushes past the Titans towards Eren's head. He pulls out the detonator for the TNT, screaming out that Eren is a stupid little suicidal blockhead, where he then proceeds to blow his head off. That's right guys, after this explosion, we then get to see the real nature of the Titans. The spine-like organism that gave Ymir her power appears and it's huge. The organism tries to reattach itself to Eren's head, but Reiner spears into it and grabs it like it's WWE. And damn, you can tell his grapple is tight. He ain't letting that shit go anywhere. As Reiner smashes it to the ground, Connie warns Jean and Pip that they need to get away because Armin is going to activate his colossal titan so he can then explode Eren into oblivion. And at this point, everyone quickly realizes that Reiner is willing to sacrifice himself as he holds down the origin of the Titans. Assumptions are thrown that he should be able to survive the nuke explosion from Armin's transformation with his armor. But let's be real here, I just find it funny that Reiner is trying to off himself yet again. Countless time at this point where he wants to sacrifice himself, but the plot says, no, not yet.
Hey, Freak Show! You're going nowhere! I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of playtime!
But seriously, we then finally see all of the allies and the former Titan shifters watch in awe of Armin's appearance whilst he thanks them for their help. They honestly wouldn't have been able to stop the rumbling without everyone's help, and especially Armin. He was the key to everything. So then and there, he finally decides to activate his power of the colossal titan and then nuke Eren from existence. Mikasa starts to cry as everyone says goodbye. In the conclusion of Attack on Titan, we are going to see Eren's side of the story and his memories. There is no real way to judge his character alone since we don't have the context to most of the actions that took place. We believe Eren purposely chose Armin because he knew his character and shares the same memories he described to Zeke earlier on. Therefore, Armin would end up saving humanity. For example, take a look back when Levi had to choose Armin or Erwin. Eren even back then seemed somewhat possessed. He kept telling Levi that Armin will be the one that will save humanity, and somehow Mikasa draws her sword at Levi, defying her captain. This seems awfully familiar to how his father was when he took away the founding titan in the first place due to future Eren pushing him to do the acts for the path to be set correctly. It's very possible that Eren even at this stage had a glimpse of the future and knew what he must do and which direction he had to take. In the end of the day, the true protagonist all along was Armin. But coming back to Eren, a lot of you guys in the Attack on Titan community believe he ain't dead. This is because he can use the Warhammer Titan power to be located elsewhere, and on top of that, Armin just stated that Ymir wants something from everyone and that's why she gathered all the Eldians. It is a possibility that Eren understands what she wants and this is the freedom to live again. Zeke mentioned how Eren is the only one that understood Ymir despite spending centuries in the paths trying to understand the meaning as well. When Eren first met Ymir, he stated that she has been calling for him this whole time to do something. One theory in the community is that Eren has made a Historia pregnant, so once again when all the Titan shifters are dead, the power of the Titans will be eradicated from the earth and then Ymir will then be reincarnated in the baby Historia will give birth to so that she can have a second chance of freedom because she deserves it after all of her suffering. Please keep in mind that Ymir died as an adult but appears in the past even in chapter 137 as a child. This is because deep down she desires what she never had, a family and a childhood. Eren could be providing this opportunity for her as he desired the concept of freedom in his entire life just like Ymir. Maybe she saw this in him and chose him to save the world. Along with that, our theory that we've been talking about for such a long time, Eren Requiem, seems to be coming true as a coalition of the Eldians from the Marleyan and the Paradise gang were able to stop the rumbling and save the world. The outlook and perception on the Eldian race as a whole will change. Their very existence was hated and oppressed. They were seen as devils, but these devils saved the world from a Ragnarok called the Rumbling, and this was by humanity's own choice. As we have seen in an earlier chapter, the Marleyan forces slowly started to understand their own faults and how their actions led to this event. Overall, Eren knew all of this. He saw the future and understood the only way the world would accept the Eldian race and live side by side with them is for Eren to become a monster that that the whole world can focus their fear on. Once he is stopped, that fear and hatred will be gone with him. That was Eren's requiem, and it worked. More than likely after this, the world will come together in unity. And that's it for chapter 137. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you think about this chapter? What do you think about this ending? Isayama apparently did say that there might be a different ending in the anime, and that's more of a true version. I'm not sure if that's 100% confirmed, but if there is a different ending, what would you like that to be? Put it down in the comment section below. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, ding the notification bell. Until then, guys, I'll